Welcome to the Seahawks Squad Show. I'm Anderson Hurst. I'm telling you why this could be a preview of the NFC Championship game.
What it do, everybody? It's your boy Robert Turbin, a.k.a. Turbo. And I am the Hidden Dumpling.
And this is Corbin Smith. I have no idea what to follow that up with, but I think that this game is absolutely a preview of the NFC Championship game. We might get 3 times between these two teams. Get ready.
Hey 12s, it's the Seahawks Squad. Everything Seattle Seahawks every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Emerald City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get loud, 12s. The Seahawks Squad Show starts now.
What up, 12s? Welcome to the Seahawks Squad Show. Anderson Hurst, Robert Turbin, Corbin Smith with you here today. We will do kind of mostly Rams Seahawks here, but I want to get these guys' thoughts after a big Seahawks victory over the almost said St. Louis Cardinals, but no, it is the Arizona Cardinals over this past weekend. Seahawks moved to 7-2, another just beat down, and just they're firing on all cylinders right now. I want to get these two guys' thoughts because they weren't on the post-game show with myself and Rob Rang, but then we'll do a full deep dive. We got most of the hour today dedicated to just a deep dive into Seahawks, Rams, and how awesome of a game this is here in Week 11. 2 7-2 teams, two teams that are playing great football right now, and I'm excited to see what our experts have to say about that. But first, I want to tell you that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. All right, let's do a quick retrack of Sunday's game against the Cardinals. I'm curious what you guys thought. Anything stands out to you? I'll kind of leave it as an open canvas, Turbo, for the win against the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday.
You know, when I played for Seattle, the years that we were really, really good, it was in large part because we had a lot of depth. And so although it was like, you know, it was the Marshawn Lynches and the Earl Thomases and the Cam Chancellors, you know, there were guys behind those guys that actually were really good, that could play at a really high level when asked and when given the opportunity. And so when I look at the Seahawks, and it's the Ty Okadas of the world, and it's the Drake Thomases, and it's, you know, the Nehemiah Pritchett's and Tyrese Knight, like there's depth on the team, and you just didn't notice the absence of a Jaron Reed and an Ernest Jones and, you know, and Julian Love. And that, to me, I've been playing football a long time. When you have that, when you don't notice that your starters are out, it's just an indicator of a really, really strong team. And that's what stood out to me against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, Corbin, echo his sentiments, or wherever you want to go. What stood out to you to the victory over the Arizona Cardinals?
You know, I'm gonna go on a similar path, but I'm gonna take a turn onto one of the side roads here, because I think one of the things that has really, like, we've talked so much about the depth and guys coming up for injuries, but, you know, I talked to a couple other reporters about this during the game. What it meant to see George Halani get that opportunity. The game was not a blowout yet at that point. That touchdown really is what turned it into a laugher. It was 14-0 when he scored there. But to have a play that was in your game plan for a guy that's your third running back, your other two guys aren't hurt, and for the Seahawks to have the confidence to put him in there in that situation and know he's dependable, he's going to get the job done, and they've been planning this all week. And, you know, look, Turbo played for Pete Carroll, so this is not even taking a shot at Pete. But I felt like, and I've said this a few times earlier, and now I think this confirms it, I felt like the last few years he was here, he got away from the always compete mantra. I do not feel like some of the young guys got opportunities when they earned those chances, or when guys ahead of them were struggling. They didn't give those guys bones the way they did earlier in the Carroll era. And Mike McDonald right now, he is putting his money where his mouth is. He did it last year with Kobe Bryant and Josh Jobe. I can keep rattling off names from last year. But this year, he's not just doing it with guys coming in for injuries. It's players like George Halani saying, like, look, you've done everything right on the practice field. You are a great teammate. You do what you need to do in the meeting room. We are going to give you chances on the field because it's going to help us win football games. I don't care if you're the third running back. I don't care if 0.01% of fantasy owners have you on their team. You are going to get those opportunities. I think it just truly speaks to Mike McDonald, the culture that he has built and is continuing to cultivate, how big of a part that is with, I am going to reward guys. And I think that's why you're seeing players like Ty Okada play the way they are. They might have had some rough stretches when they first got in the lineup, but the amount of confidence those guys have gained and the work that they're putting in, and the coach is taking that work and saying, you've earned this chance and I believe in you. And it's a ripple effect that's permeating the entire coaching staff, the entire locker room. And I think that's how you see a team go out there. It's got a bunch of guys missing, say, you know what, we're still going to take you behind the woodshed and we're going to whip you. Even with backups, that is the mentality that's been cultivated because of that. I feel like Always Compete with Mike McDonald's version is back.
Okay. I don't know if you guys know this, but apparently it stopped us from going live. So we are no longer live again. This is the first time this has happened to me, but apparently this has been a thing in StreamYard recently. I'm going to try and make it work again. As it's from the beginning, because it just reset everything on my screen. But I'm sorry. I apologize. But oh, we are live. It's just not showing. It's still saying that's so weird. Okay, well, let's keep going. It still says scheduled on my screen, but whatever. We're gonna keep going.
I see it too at the top left.
Yeah, that's weird. But our chat's telling us that we're live. Okay, all right, let's go. That's really
What's up,
chat? Thanks for joining us, chat. Appreciate you guys.
False start on StreamYard.
Yes, exactly. The penalties. No, but I'm just going to echo what Corbin said about Mike McDonald, because that's going to be my big focus coming into this weekend, because for so long we saw Sean McVay outcoach this team over and over and over again. This is going to be the big test to me, whether like he's legit or not. And up until now, I've been a huge fan of Mike McDonald and the culture that he's brought into this team. I actually think these two coaches are very, very similar that are facing each other this weekend, but one's on the offensive side of the ball, one's on the defensive side of the ball. But it's similar like mentality and a coaching style, so to speak. Very military sort of high energy style that I really like to see. But for me, like one of the knocks I think a lot of people have talked about Seattle, and maybe one of the reasons why people were hesitant until very recently to really legitimize the Seahawks and their, accomplishments so far in the season being 7-2, is because it didn't really seem like, from the outside perspective, I think it didn't really seem like they had a superstar, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think, again, this is externally. Like, I think us here in Seattle know that Leonard Williams is a superstar. I think Devin Witherspoon is turning into that superstar right now. Ernest Jones, you could even throw into that category.
I got another name for you there.
Yeah. But I think from the national perspective, that was kind of the knock on this. But now I think people are starting to realize they have really good players, yes, but the true superstar of this Seahawks defense is Mike McDonald and his scheme and his ability to put guys in the right position to make plays. And you can call up a Ty Okada, you can bring in a Drake Thomas and not miss a single beat. So that's what I've been so impressed with. And that was just once again on display on Sunday against the Cardinals. Corbin, you said you had someone that you want to bring into this in terms of a superstar?
Look, I've already got the movement started from yesterday's Locked On Seahawks. Nick Emanwari, he is the dictator, or if you want to call him the Nicktator, I don't care. But what I love about the way this kid is playing, are there some plays that are mistakes out there still? Yeah, he's a rookie. He gave up a few big plays in this game, and those are things he's going to get better at. But, like, this dude is everywhere. And like, I'm not surprised by it because I watched him in training camp, and like, I'm like, it's just sometimes you see a guy, you're like, that guy is just different. Nick Eamon-Warry is that player. But what I love about him, like, how many defenses in the NFL can truly tell the opposing offense, we're going to dictate what you do, not the other way around? I don't think there's another team in the NFL. Maybe if the Ravens had a little more talent in their front seven, but Seattle has a huge advantage in that capacity. Nick Eamon-Warry just makes it like, hey, Rams, you want to go in 3 tight end set? Cool. Nick Eamon-Warry can come on the edge and he can blast a tackle or a tight end, and he's got the size to do it. Oh, you want to go 4 wide or 5 wide? Nick Eamon-Warry can play slot or he can play 2 deep. We don't have to make personnel changes. We dictate how you play the game. And that is just, that right there by itself makes it worth trading up for this kid. But to see what you're like, what did I see the other day? That he's the 3rd player ever to have 9 tackles and a half a sack and 4 pass breakups in the same game in NFL history. Like, and he had plays out there he could have made that he missed on, but like, he has been a massive difference maker for this team, and just the amount of flexibility, what they can do without having to sub a bunch of dudes in for different personnel groupings, because he's basically 4 positions in one. Like that gives you unlimited flexibility that I don't know that anybody else in the league has a player like that, to be honest with you. Like he's that rare.
Yeah. Turbo, talk about number 3 and how special he's been for you, because the biggest word that comes to my mind is versatility. And I think everyone saw like the tools when the Seahawks drafted him in the 2nd round this past year, but man, he's instantly walked into this league and proven that he belongs.
Yeah, that's his biggest strength is his versatility. You said it, his ability to be able to line up at different spots, play different positions, handle different assignments. It's especially impressive for a guy who's a rookie, because a lot of times as a rookie, you're just trying to like understand your stuff, but for him to be able to understand not only the position as a quote unquote safety, but the other spots that are intertwined within the defense is pretty impressive. And, I'll go back to training camp because I remember talking to Coach Mike McDonald about Nick Eamon-Warry, and he just kind of joked about, he'll have his rookie moments and things of that nature. And, he went up to him and personally challenged him, when he was having like a little bit of a lull during training camp, just because, he sees it as a coach. He's been around a lot of great players. And so I think that's a huge testament to the fact that all the things that he can handle within the scheme of this defense. I think the story is still being written in terms of like a superstar. Okay. Leonard Williams has been a superstar a long time in this league. Okay, but I think legitimately, if we're looking at that just on the defensive side, if that's the label that we're gonna put it, he's probably the only one. We got a lot of stars, maybe. But I mean, you can't. It's almost like you're just throwing anybody in the Hall of Fame. You just have to be as strict as you can be with terminology like that. But you can certainly see like when somebody has the trajectory to be able to get there, and Eamon-Warry for sure is one of those cats.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Corbin, go ahead.
You see coaching staffs having to adjust to it already too. Like just his presence. I'm like, there are not a lot of defensive guys. Like you see that with D linemen a lot. Like I need to really cater my game. Like you were seeing teams that the way they're attacking the Seahawks, a big part of it's like, I'm worried about number 3. And like that automatic, like I said, he is dictating things for the offense in a way that very few safeties in the National Football League do. And he's doing it when he's scratching the surface of his potential. Like that's the scary thing here. And he missed 3 games with an injury. So that put him a little behind. But like the fact he's doing what he's doing now, and I just feel like he might not even be scratching the surface yet. He might still be approaching the surface. But this kid is just off the charts ability. Not just an athlete. Like we've seen the ball skills. Like he gets his hands on the football line. Yeah. He is a guy that didn't blitz very much in college, and he looks natural at it. Like 6'4", 230-pound men should not be able to have the malleability to do what he did, working off a block and then coming back to go get Jacoby Brissett in just an instant. And he did it. I mean, he is I can't say enough about this kid. I loved him in the pre-draft process, but now seeing it play out in the field, like Seattle's got some real good football players. There ain't a guy on that roster that has the ceiling that Nick Ebenwari has. I guarantee you that.
Wow. All right. High praise from Corbin Smith. It's exciting to get this excited about Seahawks football after 9 games, but we got a big matchup this upcoming weekend against the LA Rams. I think we alluded to it at the top of the show. This seems like it could be, at least as of this point in the season, the 2 best teams in the NFC. I'm going to get these guys' thoughts on whether they agree. We'll look at the rest of the league and kind of how they stack up against that. But then we'll dive right into the matchup. I want to know who you guys think has the advantage on the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, the coaching staff, the quarterback, all that stuff. We'll do that here coming up here on the Seahawks Squad Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS. That's SAD, software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting your employees, teams, and departments in one system, Rippling removes the bottlenecks, busy work, and silos your software created. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access runs automatically and perfectly in sync. It's seriously simple to use and gives companies one source of truth for their people, data, and everything they touch. Whether you want to run your entire HR, IT, and finance operations as one, or just fill in the gaps in your software stack, Rippling can do it all. And right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnfl. Learn more at rippling.com/lockedonnfl. That's rippling.com/lockedonnfl for 6 months free. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to the Seahawks Squad Show. Anderson Hurst, Robert Turbin, and Corbin Smith with you. Seahawks are 7-2 on the season, facing another 7-2 team in the LA Rams for the first time this season. And I think the teams that are at the kind of the cream of the crop, at least in the NFC side of things, are starting to separate themselves a little bit from the pack. I know the Niners are just 1 game behind that at 6-4. All right, I guess they're at they haven't had their bye yet, so I think they're actually at 7-4. But it still just seems to me like the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks, not just the 2 best teams in the NFC West, but possibly the 2 best teams in the NFC. Corbin, do you agree with that statement?
I think it's hard to refute it right now because if you watch that Eagles-Packers game last night, first off, I'm sorry that you wasted 3 hours of your life watching that. That was an ugly game, man. Neither one of those teams, every time I've watched Philadelphia this year, I just don't see the same team that I saw last year. Are they a team that could turn it on in the second half? Absolutely. But something just doesn't seem quite right there. In Green Bay, like that offense has been awful most of the season. And when you lose to the Cleveland Browns, the Carolina Panthers, who then follow up and lose to the Saints the next week, like the Packers have a lot of issues. So I still think Detroit is a team to watch out for, especially because Dan Campbell just took back play calling responsibilities. Dan Campbell's like, I'm going to put this in my own hands. Dan Campbell's a hell of a coach. That's a talented football team. I still think Tampa Bay, they didn't play great this week against New England, but Tampa Bay is still a team that I think can beat anybody any given weekend. But you look at the numbers, there's only 2 teams in the league that are top 5 in offense and defense scoring-wise. It's the Rams and it's the Seahawks. So it's hard to dispute. And, oh, by the way, the Seahawks have the best point differential in the NFC. And that's over a 9-game span. That's a big enough sample size that you start to look like, okay, this is a team that's been taking care of business in a lot of games as of late. The Rams certainly have had a few more close games, but they've gotten the job done. I think it's hard to refute right now that these two, at minimum, belong in that discussion for the top 2 teams, maybe in the NFL, because the AFC doesn't seem like it's very good this year.
Turbo, what do you think? These are the 2 best teams in the NFC?
No, they're not. And I think that, we just have to, I guess, maybe hold the reins back. We're talking about two really good teams, obviously, and teams from a record standpoint that are leading the league. But you can't ignore the Detroit Lions, who are probably the best team in the NFC right now. The Rams are playing at a high level. We can't ignore Tampa Bay because guess who lost to Tampa Bay? Oh, yeah, the Seattle Seahawks did. Can't really ignore the 49ers because guess who the other team that the Seattle Seahawks lost to? It was the San Francisco 49ers. And just because they got a beat down against the LA Rams, doesn't mean that this is not or no longer a competitive team. I get all the stats and everything like that, but I'm not a stats guy. I'm really about impact, and I'm just watching the games. I'm just kind of seeing how things look. We saw two really good teams last night duking it out. And maybe it was an ugly game for people who want to see points scored, but it was a great game if you're looking at what these teams were able to do in the secondary in particular. These guys were sticking on receivers in man coverage, and they were making plays on the football. And I thought it was a fantastic job on the defensive side by Coach Hafley, defensive coordinator for the Packers, and Vic Fangio, who's the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. I thought they called great games. And so we can't really ignore those teams either. When I look at the Seattle Seahawks, I'm thinking about that 4, 5, or 6 as it pertains to the NFC. Just in general, I think you got the Lions, you got the Rams, and you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sitting in front of the Seattle Seahawks at this particular time of the season. But make no mistake about it, I think that is the spot that the Seattle Seahawks want to be in, because when the playoffs come around, the Seahawks remind me of a team. They're that team you don't want to play in the first round.
Yeah,
that's who the Seahawks kind of remind me of right now. They're getting a little bit of attention, but still slightly overlooked. I think it's a great spot for them to put themselves in position to maybe pull off some sort of upset, in the playoffs. But the Rams won't be overlooking this team. And these are the games. We could talk about the Cardinals, and we could talk about some of these other teams who don't have winning records. These are the games that really tell the story, or that are going to tell the story for the Seattle Seahawks moving forward.
Yeah, that's weird. Because if the Seahawks win this game on Sunday, it's a big if, I would put them as at this point in the season, the best team in the NFL. I don't think anyone's been as impressive as they have. I get it. You lost the 49ers week 1 of the season, but the Niners,
NFL,
if they win this Sunday, I think that solidifies that at this point in time. Again, that doesn't mean that.
I guess the question, Anders, and for Turbo too, who scares you right now in the AFC? Maybe New England, but I've watched a couple of their games and felt like they had a couple bounces go their way that they easily could have lost those games. I'm not sold on them taking that big of a jump from being a non-playoff team last year. Buffalo looks lost.
They do
in a lot of ways. Kansas City's lost more games, almost as many games this year as they lost last year. I have concerns about them. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure who's going to emerge in that conference right now. Indianapolis has looked a lot more human the last few weeks. I'm just not sure if there's a team right now there. Maybe Buffalo finds it or Kansas City finds it, but I just, and maybe the Ravens, now that Lamar Jackson's healthy, maybe the Ravens start playing like we thought, but there's just not anybody over there that really scares me right now. I think the NFC's got a lot more formidable teams in it.
Well, and I just don't know how you can watch what the Seahawks have done in the past 4 weeks and not think that they're one of the best teams in the NFL, right? I
didn't say they weren't one of the best teams. I just don't think they're.
If you think they're 5th or 6th in the NFC, then that means they're at least a not top 5 team in the NFL, if not worse, depending on how you rank.
I am loving the juice today, guys.
3 teams in the NFC better than the Seahawks at this particular time right now, and that's the Detroit Lions, that is the LA Rams, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Until proven otherwise, they have to play the big games.
Yeah, and that was that's the one part that I think has yet to be decided. Because yes, what I mentioned about the last 4 weeks, you look at the schedule. It's a soft schedule. I understand that. But the dominance that they've shown, these games have been over at halftime. If you're really like, how often do you see that in today's NFL? I don't care who's playing.
That is a real.
You can cruise. Sam Darnold had 2 pass attempts in the second half against the Cardinals. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't know,
like
man.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Is that a good thing or not? I don't know.
Jerry.
But
I just have to practice a little patience.
I understand.
It's an exciting time. It really is, and I get it. But the games have to be played, fellas.
Yeah. But we can only react to what's happened, right? We can't be as predictive as a lot of people want to be, right? Everyone wants to think that the Ravens, because Lamar Jackson's back, their defense is playing better. But you can't just ignore what happened in the first 9 games this season. You can't. There has to be a balance between those two things. So to me, I think these are the 2 best teams in the NFC, to answer my own question here, as Corbin dropped out for a quick second there. We'll get him back. He was not looking like he wanted to hear what I had to say there, but damn.
I want to hear his response to this. I need to hear his response to this.
So you have at least the Lions, the Rams, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ahead of the Seahawks. You mentioned even the 49ers too, even with Fred Warner and Nick Bosa out for the year.
Well, I just think we lost.
Yeah.
We lost to
but
the
it's
Niners.
A different team.
And it is a different team, but you have to when they go to Levi Stadium later on in the season,
yeah,
and beat them, then I'll be like, okay, they're but right now it's just I just can't put them over a team yet.
Yeah.
That they lost to because they played well the last 4 games. And I know the Eagles looked ugly, last week and even before the bye week. But I can't just, I do think the Seahawks are a better team than the Eagles personally.
Yeah.
But I just think that the story is being written. So if I had to put them somewhere in the NFC,
sure,
they would be 4. They would be the 4th best team in the NFC to me at this particular time.
Yeah, I disagree, but I understand at the same time. I totally understand that. It's a different way to look at it. And hey, if I'm going to say we can't be so predictive, I have to agree at the same time that we lost the 49ers earlier this year. Just because that's a different team doesn't mean that instantly makes you better than them because 2 of their better players are out for the year. You lost to them. You're 0-1 against that team. They have your head-to-head record. So totally understand on that one. It was week 1. It was a long time ago. And it's weird that it's week 1 and then week 18 that you play them. So we'll see what ends up happening. There's a lot of time between now and then. I understand that. I'm jumping the gun here a little bit with the Seahawks, but it's an exciting time. So we're going to take a deep dive into this matchup between the LA Rams and the Seahawks because whether or not you think that these are the 2 best teams or not, it's a great game. And I think this is a big test for the Seahawks. And what Turbo is exactly talking about, you have to win the big games. This would be a massive win for the Seahawks. And maybe, hey, I'm previewing next week. Maybe it slightly changes his opinion on that specific question if the Seahawks come out on top in LA over the weekend. So I want to talk specifically at the quarterback position. Sam Darnold versus Matthew Stafford. Both of these guys are playing at a tremendously high level at this point. Who has the advantage? Who's the better quarterback? Who's the better quarterback for this specific matchup? How does the Rams defense, match up against Sam Darnold, and then vice versa with the Seahawks defense against Matthew Stafford? We'll do that next here on the Seahawks Squad Show. Don't go anywhere. Hopefully, we'll get Corbin back. We'll be right back.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs. With features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance, you can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go, while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Welcome back to the Seahawks Squad Show. Anderson Hurst, Robert Turbin with you. I really appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Corbin's power went out, so he'll be right back, making sure he's all right, doing some maintenance there at the Corbin Smith household. But I got Robert Turbin with me as Corbin Smith rejoins us. Let me pop him back into the studio here.
Woo! Dude, there's no weather here in Colorado, but the northern lights, the magnetics, knocked the power out.
Wow.
And I just went out the front door, and it is so red that you don't even need a camera to see it. I took a picture, and it looks like there was a pink bomb going off behind the houses. Like, it's insane.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see the social post for Corbin Smith, on what that looks like.
I'll have to post this now so people can see it. But
it sounds intriguing.
Our power went out for 3 minutes for whatever reason. Like, had to be like the magnetism or something, man. That was nuts.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I kind of teased it in this last part, but we're going to take a look specifically at this matchup between LA and Seattle. And I want to look at the quarterback position because Sam Darnold and Matthew Stafford have both played at a tremendously high level at this point in the year. I don't want to do the whole MVP in or not, just who's been the better quarterback, who has the advantage in this specific matchup between Sam Darnold versus the Rams defense versus Matthew Stafford against the Seahawks defense. So I'll kind of leave that open to you guys. Turbo, I'll start with you since you didn't leave me.
Man, this is hard, man. You know, I think from the outside looking in, you instantly go, Matthew Stafford, you know, because the resume.
Yeah.
But, you know, specifically to this game and specifically to this season, this is much more of a difficult evaluation, in my opinion, in terms of, you know, who's the better quarterback at you know, right now.
Yeah.
I think Sam Darnold's doing a lot more with less. You know, at the end of the day, this is not a knock on, you know, the skill position players that we have. Obviously, Jackson Smith and Jacob is the best wide receiver in the game, but Stafford got 2 of them. You know, one's probably going to wear a gold jacket, and the other one, Puka Nacua, probably going to wear a gold jacket too, you know, if he keeps doing what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Kyron Williams in the backfield has been pretty good for a number of years, you know, now. Offensive line has consistently been strong. The coach has always been there. You know, he's in the same system. You have to learn a new system this year. And so, man, you know, I just think that I mean, I may give the slight edge to Stafford, but only because of what he's working with on the offense. But Sam Darnold this year, he is doing the thing that you need to do to elevate a team to be a championship caliber team when you don't really have all of the weaponry like that. And I think it's really impressive. But I guess to answer, if I had to answer your question, I might give Stafford I'm talking about a piece of my hair, you know, edge in this matchup.
All right, Corbin, who's playing better football?
I almost always have a way to go figure to find out who, you know, it's very rare that I say tie, but I think you have to consider that here because these two guys, like, they're not doing it the same way. Like when you watch Matthew Stafford for years, like one of the things that has always wowed me about Matthew Stafford, dating back to his early years in the league, and now he's just that grizzled vet that still does it. Like his ability, it isn't just the no-look passes, which, by the way, he legitimately just like kills defenses doing that. Yeah. But It's the ability to throw from every angle. I mean, he makes it look like Brett Favre didn't have any variance in his throwing motion. Like he throws, I'm not surprised if he comes out there throwing like one of those submarine pitchers in baseball and throwing it down there just to get the football around defenders. He's so good at doing that. You don't really see Sam Darnold do that. But what Sam Darnold does that Matthew Stafford, at least at this stage of his career, Stafford can maneuver the pocket. But you aren't going to catch Stafford running a bunch of bootlegs and extending plays and like the Cooper Kupp play the other day where Sam Darnold's like, oh, I might be in front of the line of scrimmage, which he wasn't, but he thought he might be. So he took a step back and then threw it. Like, you're not going to see Matthew Stafford, at least at this stage, doing a lot of that kind of stuff. So I think they're doing it a little bit differently. But the stats, like Darnold's leading the league in yards per attempt, but Stafford's right there in that top 5. He's had a lot of big chunk plays downfield. These two guys are the top 2 20-plus yards through the air traveled passers in the NFL this year, pretty much every metric. So in terms of bombs away, both these guys are doing it. They just have a little different style with the way they do it. But I don't know that you can necessarily like – and – you know, Turbo, you have hair to put between it. I don't. So I'm just going to make this a bald competition. It's a tie. Like I think they're both playing MVP caliber football right now.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's a good shout. You can throw Baker Mayfield kind of in that same conversation too. And the Seahawks have already faced him, and we saw what fireworks that provided. And
he's I think Mayfield's kind of a blend of the two. If you really think about it.
Yeah,
he can do some of the scrambling, but he's also got kind of that, I'm going to throw from different angles. I'm going to stay in the pocket as long as I can. He's got some of that, you know, gunslinger. Like you could almost make an argument that he's Matthew Darnold. Like it's a hybrid type thing. But those 3 guys, I think those are the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
I think that a lot of people would agree with that, and I probably
all the NFC.
There you go. This is one of the reasons why I think this matchup is so fascinating because these teams kind of mirror each other in a little bit. You got Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold doing just what they're doing right now. You got Sean McVay and Mike McDonald, like I said, 2 pretty similar, not in terms of resume coaches. Sean McVay already has a Super Bowl. We already know that, but same kind of way that they coach a football team. Obviously, again, Sean McVay's offense, Mike McDonald's defense, but it seems like they like the same kind of things in football players, in cultures and everything. He just they remind me a lot of each other. Defenses that are playing out of their minds at this point, and 2 teams that are on an absolute roll right now. So I don't know. Let's just start the conversation now. We can bleed it in the next segment. I'm going to go through a couple of the, since we just started with the quarterback who has the advantage, we're just going to go through the rest of the side of the football. Let's start the offensive side. Skill positions minus the quarterback. Who do you guys take right now in terms of Seahawks versus the LA Rams? Who has the advantage? Turbo.
So this is wide receivers and running backs combined?
Yeah, you can throw tight ends in there as well. Pass catchers, running backs, skill positions minus the quarterback.
I mean, the talent is listen, the Seahawks have the best wide receiver in the league right now.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, he's playing better than anybody. But if you're talking about a culmination of the wide receiving core and tight end and running back in terms of who's been more consistently productive, you know, with the combination, you know, it's kind of hard not to give the edge to the Rams, you know, and it's in large part because their run game has been consistent. Even Blake Corum this is the best year he's ever had. You know, nobody pays attention because he's a backup, but it took them a while to develop him and get him going, you know, as a part of this offense. And he's producing in a very positive level right now, you know, and Kyron Williams has always been a constant there. He's impactful in the passing game. I just give the slight edge, you know, to the Rams, particularly because of what kind of consistent production they've been able to have in the backfield.
Corbin, what do you think?
I think, look, I would lean Rams, but this might be where the beard hair now is coming out to me. The difference.
There you go.
Because, listen, the Rams, if you're just looking at receiver, I think the Rams clearly with Adams and Puka Nacua, they've clearly got the advantage there. However, I do think Rashid Shaheed's presence changes this quite a bit. And I think in this second game, they had 13 pass attempts the last game. Not like they had a lot of chances to get him the football anyway. And they found ways to get him involved in the run game. He's got some of that Percy Harvin skill set to him. That's something that the Rams don't necessarily have on their roster right now. Tutu Atwell's on injured reserve. That might be the only guy they have that could maybe do that. So, and Torrey Horton, I think Torrey Horton will be back this week. We'll see how that plays out. But I think the Seahawks tight ends are just as good, if not better, than what the Rams have. The running back position, the Rams have been the more productive team. But I think in terms of talent,
for sure.
You can make a very strong argument that
100%.
And I feel like the run game has started to figure things out more consistently the last few weeks for the Seahawks too. So I think, look, this is close. I give the Rams a thinnest of margin, but like I can see this being a game where I think both these. Seattle, people might be sleeping on him in terms of after JSN because of how much production he's had. But I think Seattle's got a lot of talent on that. Elijah Arroyo, I think, we've seen him start to come on here in the last few weeks. I think, in terms of what they want to do, both these teams have plenty of talent at the skill positions. I think the real difference makers, the top two for the Rams at receiver, I give them an edge there. But Seattle might close the distance with some of the other positions too. Both these teams have more than enough offensive talent to put up a lot of points. We've seen that already this year.
All right, what about the offensive line? Turbo, who is the edge?
Well, I'm curious if the Rams, and I probably should look this up, they don't have any guys out, any guys that were starters.
No big injuries, no. As
they have 3 dudes on injured reserve total. Like they might be the healthiest team in the NFL. Right.
Yeah. And so Olu steps in for us at center. Yeah. And, he's a good player. But, there's a reason why he lost his starting job. And so how much has he improved since then remains to be seen now that he has to start the game, from start to finish. And so, this is, again, razor thin in terms of how to decide this. But in terms of just consistency, again, that word keeps coming up, continuity of guys that have been there. The Rams don't have a new guy stepping in at center of all positions, and so, from that standpoint, that there's that slight edge again, that I got to give to the bad guys at the offensive line.
Yeah, Corbin, what do you think?
I'm giving the Seahawks a slim edge on this.
Really? Even with Sundell out?
Here's why. Oluwatimi started the last 8 games last year. He has played a lot of snaps with a lot of these guys. And I'm still wondering if he doesn't have his back injury in training camp, if he loses that position battle. He may have very well been the week 1 starter without that injury. Seattle loves him. It's just, they wanted Sundell on the field. I think Seattle, it's weird because we've talked for so many years about when are they going to get a center? It has been a revolving door. I think they have 2 at least mid-level starter caliber centers on their roster right now. So they're different skill sets. What I'm going to be curious about is how Oluwatimi handles the pass protection stuff, because we only got to see 3 pass pro reps when he came in the game. It was almost all runs. He was great in the run game on Sunday. He was leveling dudes. He was getting to the second level. So Seattle might have more success running the football with him in the lineup. I'm curious how he handles Braden Fisk and going up against Poona Ford. The Rams got some dudes in the middle of their line. They don't have an Aaron Donald, but they have some good guys inside that can create havoc. So is he going to be able to handle the pass pro stuff, especially when he hasn't played very many snaps this year? That's going to be the question mark. But the Rams, the thing is, both these lines have been made to look better than they are because the quarterbacks are so good at getting the ball out fast and have great pocket presence. So I think you can make an argument that, again, is a very close one. But I think Seattle's O-line, I think they are for real. Maybe they're not a top 10 unit, but do they have an upper half of the league offensive line, which it feels like it's been a lifetime since we could say that? I think both these teams are in that mix. I like what the tackles are doing. Abe Luke is getting after it. So I'm giving Seattle a slight edge here.
Wow, I'm surprised because I know you're a big Jalen Sundell fan too. So I thought for sure that Sundell being out was a big swing in your decision.
It has to do with that. I don't think there's a big drop off there.
Okay.
In terms of, and it's just, you're going to maybe have to change what you do a little bit just because, again, I think Olu with Timmy, you might want to run more gap stuff and just let him go to work. Like I could see this being a game and Braden Fisk can be a guy that can play really high against the run. So if you got a guy that's more of a bruiser in there going against him, that may work to Seattle's advantage in this game, actually. If they're running skim, they might swim away from the heavy zone stuff. And there's been a few games this year they've ran more gap. This may be a game personnel ends up lending itself for it.
All right, let's jump to the other side of the ball here on the other side of this break. We're breaking down Seahawks, Rams. Who has the advantage? We'll talk the defense, not just the defense versus one side of the ball. It's Seahawks defense versus Rams defense. Who has the edge? Coming up here on the Seahawks Squad Show. We will be right back. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back, 12 Seahawks Squad Show with Anderson Hurst, Robert Turbin, and Corbin Smith with you. We're breaking down a very intriguing matchup. The 7-2 Seahawks against the 7-2 Rams, a battle atop of the NFC West and possibly the NFC, depending on how you look at it. We talked offense. I think we're splitting hairs on that side of the ball. It's going to be interesting to see what you guys think about the defense because the Seahawks are playing fantastic defense right now. But before we get into it, I want an update from Corbin. Is Ernest Jones looking like he's going to be available for this game, or are we looking at a longer timeline with him?
Look, everybody's going to, I mean, and I'm part of it too. If you saw on X today, he posted a GIF with a guy being resuscitated and coming back to life. That suggests to me that Ernest Jones fully expects that he's going to be playing this week. Now, we'll see if Mike McDonald and the training staff are down with that. But I find it very hard to believe he is not playing this weekend. There's always going to be kind of that you traded me to the Titans. That is always going to be on his shoulders a little bit. And he understands the magnitude of this game. And look, my understanding from last weekend was, hey, if this was for a playoff spot or something, he would have tried to play. That the Seahawks felt like we can get through the Cardinals game without him. If I had to be predicting right now, I think he is starting on Sunday against the Rams.
And just to clarify, because I saw some confusion in the chat, Julian Love is still on IR, so he is unavailable.
Two more games minimum that he has to sit out.
Got it. Okay, so I think those are the two big question marks going into this game. Obviously, with the Jalen Sundell news, if you guys missed it, he's going to be out multiple weeks, quote unquote, from Mike McDonald. But it supposedly is not season ending either. So, all right, let's talk defense. I am excited about this one. Defensive line, front. Yeah, we'll say defensive line. We'll split it up into three. Who has the advantage in this one? Because this is arguably this is probably the position group where I think both teams can say they have it's the strength of their team. But Turbo, what do you think? D-line, who has the advantage?
So we're talking tackles and edges?
Correct, yes.
Boy, this might be the hardest one of them all.
It's very hard.
Yeah. This is up there with Darnold versus Stafford.
It really is.
We might maybe have to pull the bald card out again.
Oh man,
that's why this matchup is so great, guys. These are two very good teams that don't have holes. It's just the way it is.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I'm going to give the edge to the Seahawks on this one.
Let's go.
I am. And particularly because of what we have and who we have in the middle of our defense. Now, I know we'll be without Jay Reed, right? Corb, he'll still be out, right?
He's got to miss 3 more games minimum.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if he's back at the earliest too after having that second wrist surgery.
Yeah. But I think that we are really strong there. They've got some great edge rushers. The Rams do. I mean, it's just you just can't deny it. And I think we're good there. Maybe not as good in terms of edge rushing, but against the run, I like what we have in terms of that, and I think we actually have a little bit of an advantage there against the Rams. And so I give us the edge there. Defensive line, I got to go Hawks. I think the matchup. I think we win that matchup.
All right, Corbin, what do you think?
It's crazy because I mentioned the bald card, but I don't even think I have to consider that here. Look, the Rams have a really good defensive line. I think the Seahawks, even without Jaron Reed, I think this is a top 3 defensive line in the National Football League. Like we've seen what DeMarcus Lawrence has done. Boy, Mafe finally got the sack last week. I could see him going on a run. We've seen how streaky he is. Derek Hall is out there. Uchenna Nwosu's playing really good football right now. Byron Murphy playing really good football. Mike Morris looked good the other day. He's had a solid season. Like I don't think the Rams have the dudes depth-wise that the Seattle Seahawks have. I don't think they can keep rolling guys in the way the Seahawks do. And quite frankly, as good, I like Braden Fisk. I think he's a good player. He ain't Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams is the best defensive tackle in this game. And I think if you're looking at all around edges, Jared Verse takes the cake there. But I think Uchenna Nwosu and DeMarcus Lawrence are not far behind, and they have different skill sets. I just think Seattle's got more dudes than what the Rams have in this matchup.
Yep, and I would agree the same thing. It's what Turbo said at the top of the show. What he said most impressed you about the Cardinals game. It's the depth, and that's what the really good Seahawks teams always had. So I agree with you. I think I lean Seahawks here. All right. We'll just say linebackers in general. But you guys, we don't have to. Everyone kind of puts edge rushers into the linebacker conversation. We're talking stack linebackers here. Second level. What do you guys think? Turbo.
Yeah, I think it goes to the Hawks again. Especially if Ernest Jones is going to be back. He is an impact player.
Yep.
And nothing against who the Rams have at linebacker, but they don't strike me as impact players. And so like Ernest Jones is somebody you go into Wednesday practice and you
game plan for.
You got a game plan for him. You got a game plan for that guy right there. And so for that reason, for me, Seahawks have the edge at linebacker.
And even Tyrese Knight's been playing better the last couple weeks. Corbin, what do you think?
I think the Seahawks have 3 linebackers that are better than any of the Rams linebackers. All
right.
To me, this is the most lopsided one. Now, I don't know that it carries as much weight as some of the other position groups. I would, like I'm saying, if Drake Thomas and Tyrese Knight start this game, I still, without hesitation, say the Seattle Seahawks have the better linebacking core.
Yep. No.
I think Patrick O'Connell is on par with some of the guys the Rams. Like the Rams just don't prioritize. I mean, they
sure.
And they've gotten away with it. Like they don't have to bring in. I mean, they don't have to bring in a bunch of stud guys.
They traded Ernest Jones. That's a great example of it.
Yeah, and they had Bobby for a year, that Bobby Wagner, and they're like, well, we don't want to pay that kind of money, that position. It's just not a position they delve a lot of resources into. They're solid there, but Seattle's linebacking crew, like I said, those top 3 guys are all dogs in their own way. I just don't think the Rams have anybody in that linebacking core that stacks up with them. To me, this is the most lopsided thing on either side of the football between these 2 teams.
I agree. Secondary, Turbo.
Yeah, the second most lopsided to me it's clearly the Seahawks have the better second. To me, I think the Seahawks have the better secondary. And you think about we talked about Eamon Warry, his diversity and versatility, being able to make plays at different spots. It feels like Tariq Woolen is playing with so much confidence right now. His hands are clean. He's not getting penalized as much. He's making plays on the football. Like he looks like himself again, and it's really, really exciting to see. I don't think we've missed a beat with Julian Love being out. at safety. You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to disrespect anybody because trust me, I know. You know, you go up against a team that might be 2-10, and they go out there and kick your ass, okay, because you overlooked them. All right, but you know, at the end of the day, I just think that the Hawks do have the better secondary than the Rams.
All right, Corbin, what do you think? Secondary.
I think the Rams secondary is it's really fascinating. They don't have the name recognition and don't have the star power, but they've been really good this year. And I think the D-line has helped a lot in that capacity. And that was after losing Ahkello Witherspoon to an injury early in the season too. They've had to make some changes, but like, even with that being said, I don't know necessarily that it's not a super lopsided. If Julian Love is playing in this game, then I might be leaning that way. That's not a shot at Ty Akata. Everybody that listens to Locked On Seahawks know how I feel about Ty. He's a damn good football player. I love watching him. How many teams have a fourth safety that's that good? Like, there's just not. Seriously. That speaks to the depth the Seahawks have. I still give the Seahawks a significant edge here, though. I think, especially with a healthy Devin Witherspoon, I know he gave up a touchdown the other day, but Nehemiah Pritchett just played the game of his life, and he's getting confidence. Reek Woolen's playing really well. And since the Houston game, that seemed to change things for him. Yep. So I give Seattle the edge here, not just starting talent, but the guys that come in that are rotating, the versatility, all the things they can do. I think Seattle wins in all three defensive groups in this particular instance.
All right. So one more aspect here. One more aspect. Coaching. Who has the advantage?
Oh, hell no. What? Let me tell you something. You know, there's a new rule in the NFL where if you have the same amount of points at the end of overtime, it's a tie. So, hey, regular season game. If you were to ask me this question in the playoffs, I wouldn't answer it like this. But it's the regular season,
all right,
and it's a tie, bro. It's a tie.
Corbin.
It's a tie. I think that for Coach McDonald, you know, this is kind of, I wouldn't say a new opportunity.
Maybe Coach McDonald will prove me wrong here. I think this is another one that is by the hair on your chinny chin chin. Like, I think both these guys are top 5 coaches.
Yeah.
Sean McVay is, in my opinion, I still think he gets more out of what he's got than anybody in the NFL does. I think he is so good with. I'm busting out some SNL verbiage here from George Bush. The strategery. He is really, really good at game planning and scheming up. Like, this is going to be that ultimate chess match where Mike McDonald is going to have to be able to open up the playbook, mix in more of your sim pressures, mix in more of your blitzes. Like, this is the coach that you have to be prepared to bust some of that stuff out for and still expect he's going to be ready for it, because that's what Sean McVay does. I give McVay the edge by the slimmest of margins with 2 coaches I have great respect for in their own disciplines on both sides of the football.
So I guess I should have clarified all coaching. So not just head coach, play calling, scheming on both sides of the ball. I'm putting it all in one kind of category here. And I agree with Corbin. Before I toss it back to you guys to kind of respond to that, I actually have been more impressed with Mike McDonald and his staff because of the improvement from last year on both sides of the ball. But until you beat Sean McVay, which, again, I said it before, he's come in and outcoached whoever he's playing against every single time so much recently. So until that happens, I'm gonna still lean Rams, and I love Mike McDonald. I love what he's doing. I love Clint Kubiak. I love his play calling. But until that happens, I'm still gonna lean Rams because I agree. I think he's the best coach in football. Turbo.
Sean McVay, best coach in football?
Yeah.
Well, if you put it all together, I think you probably can give the Rams the edge in this one in terms of, you know, coaching all the way around. I just think that.
But it's still tight.
Yeah, I mean, there's still more meat on the bone for Seattle coaching staff.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Corbin.
I think, my answer is going to be the same. I give the Rams the narrowest of margins because this is one of those games where, look, I know there's offensive coordinators, I know there's defensive coordinators, whatever, but like The
Sure.
play calling that's really going to determine who wins this game, it is McVay versus McDonald. Like both these guys are calling plays on their side of the football.
Totally.
That's what decides who wins this football game. Like, because I think the Rams have a really good defensive coordinator that's doing similar things on that side of the ball to what Clint Kubiak's doing on offense. To me, that's kind of a wash.
Yep.
It is McVay versus McDonald that determines this game. And I give the slightest edge to McVay. But maybe McDonald comes out and says, hey, it's year 2, baby. I'm throwing punches. We'll see. Both these guys are outstanding tacticians, and they really know how to get their guys ready to play. It's like a lot of the matchups we've talked about here. It's like, who do I pick? I feel that way with Coach. I'll give McVay with the experience, just a little edge. But I won't be shocked if Mike McDonald says, hey, I'm going to prove you wrong this week too.
Well, and I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. I honestly would not. Like if he goes out and just, shuts down Matthew Stafford in the Rams offense, like that's how well he has coached at this point until this point in the season. And this would be a signature moment for him, honestly, because that's exactly what the Seahawks brought him in to do. They brought him in to go against the McVays and Shanahans and outcoach them, because far too often, especially at the end of the Pete Carroll era, it seemed like the Seahawks were getting out-schemed, out-coached, and it just seemed like it was time to move on. So that is the exact reason, in my eyes, why Mike McDonald was brought in. He's done everything he's needed to do up until now. This is the moment that you prove that you were the right decision. I mean, obviously, we can all agree it's been the right decision to do that so far. But this solidifies, like, hey, I'm here. I'm for real with this team. I'm setting up a dynasty with the Seattle Seahawks. So I just think it's just such a massive matchup. I'm so excited to watch this game. Is there anything else you guys want to mention about this game before we kind of part ways here on the Seahawks Squad Show? Turbo, I'll give you a few minutes here.
Well, I was just going to say this game is on the road, right?
Yes, it's in LA.
Hey, that's a home game for us. So I'm excited to see, man. Hey, do they keep that streak going?
Yeah.
When they go down south to LA.
Corbin.
The one thing that we got to keep an eye on this could be the under the radar thing that determines who wins this game. Jason Myers, as of late, has been absolute money. He had some rocky games at the beginning of the season, but he has been money. The Rams have been literally like, they're holding tryouts in practice, like, who's kicking field goals for us today? That is something to watch very closely, because this is going to be a close game. And the team that has the kicker that they can rely on, that they have confidence in, especially with how well these defenses have been playing, that could be the big difference between a win and a loss. And you got to think the Seahawks have the edge there right now. The Rams have had a lot of instability on special teams with their kicking game.
Yeah. All right. I like it. Keep following Locked On Seahawks. Corbin's got you taken care of all the way through up until the game. And, of course, you can catch all his work on Emerald City Spectrum as well. Anything you need, Corbin has you covered. All Seattle sports all the time. It's great content. Love hearing from his reporters throughout whatever you like to follow within Seattle sports, or maybe not even Seattle sports, just Washington sports. I'll even broaden the scope a little bit as well. So, and Turbo, you got any calls this weekend? Mountain West, let's go.
Yeah, be down in San Diego. It's actually a big game. San Diego, they were in Hawaii last week. They lost. They were in prime position to not only win the Mountain West, but be the Group of 5 team to make the college football playoff. They have to win out, and they've got Boise State at home Saturday night, 10:30 Eastern, CBS Sports Network. I'll be on the call with Rich Waltz. Tiffany Blackman will be the sideline reporter. It's a big game. Boise State lost their starting quarterback last week, unfortunately. So their backup is Max Cutforth, and he'll be at the helm. This could be a little bit of an advantage for San Diego State, but you got to go out and play the game. You got to do it. So tune in, y'all. If you guys aren't doing anything Saturday night, get your popcorn. Give me some feedback. I love the feedback, positive, negative, or indifferent. I'm just trying to be the best I can be. And, we'll be on the call. San Diego State at home against Boise.
Love it. Love it. Corbin, what do you got coming up at Emerald City Spectrum and Locked On Seahawks?
Got my all 22 report card coming up here in about 15 minutes. After you can check out my top 5 graded players from this week, and we'll have some big content on Nick Eamon-Wari tomorrow coming your way in the morning. So
love it. I love that. All right. We'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Hopefully Seahawks can get this one done. We'll talk to you guys right after the game on the Seahawks Squad show, as we always do with the post-game show. Have a good night. Go Hawks, and we'll talk to you guys later.